welcome back for round 2. I win the roll, choose to play, and keep this hand because as soon as I draw a third land it's pretty good, and as soon as I draw a fourth land it's pretty awesome. The Lifestaff Tangle Angler combo is always good, and Lifestaff Sis Bearer is also pretty good. It's like a 6-3 for 3 effectively, so yeah, I mean there's a risk of not drawing the third land, but I doubt a 6 card hand would be better than what I had there. My opponent plays a Memnite, which I'm not particularly scared by. It's not a card I'm a big fan of. Because, I mean, people always say, oh, it's a 0 mana 1-1, it's above the curve or whatever, but, I mean, it's still a 1-1 and it doesn't really justify a slot. Even if you have a Trinket Mage. If I have a Trinket Mage and, say, 2 targets, like a Spellbomb and Silver Lifestaff, I don't think I'd play the Memnite, because I'd very rarely want a 1-1 over the Equipment or the Spellbomb. Because I mean, when people say what it does and doesn't do, they forget that it actually takes a slot in both your deck and your opening hand if you have it. So he's basically taken mulligan on that 0 mana 1-1 there, because it got in for 1 damage, and now I make a 2-3 and it's irrelevant. He does have the Trinket Mage though, so it makes it a bit more understandable. I don't draw the land, but I do draw a card I can play, but I'm probably not going to play it because I'd rather start forcing through some beats. If I equip pre-combat, like I want to play the Icarats this turn. If I equip pre-combat, there's no way I'm making Icarats. And I figured if I attack, there's a very small chance, like he'll almost definitely double block, but there's a very small chance he doesn't. And that way I might be able to get the Icarats out post-combat, but he does double block, which he probably would have done had I equipped the Lifestaff anyway. I doubt he's just going to take 3 damage just like that. So yeah, I just pump it and equip with a Lifestaff post-combat, which is no different to equipping pre-combat in that case. So yeah, that was my reasoning for not equipping pre-combat. Like, it didn't make any difference effectively. It just gave him a small chance to mess up and let me play my Icarats and develop my board further. And also keep my Untamed Might, which is another bonus of him taking 3 and me playing Icarats, because then I can play the Untamed Might when I have more lands or when I have a Tangle Angler in play. He plays a Spellbomb, we know, and Coppermere, which is great, because I now have a 3-3 versus basically unopposed. Because if he had something that blocked a 3-3, then he obviously would have played it. We also don't need to play around to things like Dispense Justice, because if he had it, he would not have made the Coppermere. I mean, even if it stops me attacking for a turn, it's probably better unless he has like 6 drops in his hand. So yeah, it's unlikely I would have not attacked because he had 3 mana up, because he might just not have a play. So we can pretty much discount the Dispense Justice at this point. I also draw the 4th land and make Tangle Angler, which is a bit of a must be nice. My opponent draws and tanks for quite a while here. I might edit out a bit of audio. So yeah, having edited a bit out, he tanked for ages, which basically means he has Darksteel Sentinel. Like, that's the only thing I can think of him having. He's like, we've basically got rid of Dispense Justice and cards he might have, and the fact he's passed with 6 mana basically screams Darksteel Sentinel. So I figure the best way of playing around that is equip Lifestaff and attack with both. If he then does make it, I can just lure around to the Angler and turn it into a 1-1 and get in 2 damage at the same time. I think that's marginally better than getting him for 3 and making it a 2-2, because he might have actually drawn the Dispense Justice at this point. Like, we know he doesn't have a creature that costs 4 or less that blocks Sis Bearer, so if he did draw the Dispense Justice he wouldn't have made a creature. So I figured like re-equipping the Lifestaff was the best compromise between playing around Darksteel Sentinel and another generic removal he might have, like Disperse or Dispense Justice. So yeah, as planned, he makes the Sentinel and I shrink it. And then I decide not to re-equip, because I'm more likely to want the Lifestaff on the Tangle Angler, and if I draw a land and I then want to put it back on the Angler, I can't... sorry, if I don't draw a land, I can't equip the Lifestaff, lure with Angler, and make a 3-drop, which is what I want to do next turn, ideally. So, assuming I don't draw a land, it's better to keep the Lifestaff on the Angler, but then he bounces it, which I can't really predict, but it doesn't affect me a whole lot, because I still have I'll still have the option of recasting it next turn, and I'll still have a 2/3 poison, which is better than most of his team really at this stage. He gets in for 1 because he can. And yeah, let's just mention the Arbalest that he played as well. That isn't, I mean, it could get awkward, but it's not the best against me at the moment because I have a 2/3 and a 1/5. And I do draw the land, so I can equip, which is a bit of a must be nice. Like, I'm fine to attack here because if he double blocks, that's great for me. It leaves him with a Mirrodin Arbalest against my Angler with Silver Lifestaff on it. But he just chumps with his pretty dead Sentinel. So yeah, I just remake the Angler and pass it back. He tanks for quite a while here as well. Like, he's obviously drawing things that are relevant. He just needs to work out how to maximise efficiency on his Arbalest, I'm guessing. So I guess we can talk about our hand. Our hand's pretty good here. Like, if I just draw spells, I can play them. If I just draw lands, I've got a Genesis Wave. So whichever way the hand goes, it's pretty good. He makes an Indomitable Archangel, which is obviously quite relevant here. It's a 4/4 flyer. The Shroud isn't actually that good because it means he can't equip his Mir with Arbalest, but the fact that it's a 4/4 flyer is quite relevant. So I have to think about what my options are here. One of them would be attack with Angler, lure his guys, get in for 3 poison, and then make a Contagious Nim post combat, and then he's kind of dead to the Cisbearer and the Nim. So he has to kill the Nim and find a way of blocking Cisbearer, but then he has Indomitable Archangel, so he can block the Cisbearer. Another option is equip Angler, attack with both guys. Attack with both, lure both his guys, kill Looming Good Drake, so like deal 2 damage from the Angler on the Drake. He then can't ping profitably with the Arbalest and takes 2 poison. I can then make Ichor Mir, which means he'd have to pay 2 mana to pay 4 mana to re-equip the Angel to kill the Mir, block the Cisbearer, which will have a Lifestaff on it, and he'll have a 1/1 Angel and a 1/1 Mir after that. Another option is to just play a 3-drop and a 2-drop and pass, or play a 3-drop and a 2-drop and attack with Cisbearer. I think I eventually decide at some point here that in terms of the long run, my best option is simply to equip Lifestaff here. Like, there is another option. If I attack lure both, he can obviously ping with Looming Good Drake, but there's nothing he can profitably ping. Like, if he pings me, great. If he pings Angler, then I lose the Angler, but he gets 2 counters on his Archangel, and his Drake is locked down for a turn. And each turn is actually really relevant at the moment, because obviously we're both struggling. Like, I'm struggling to kill him, he's struggling to not be killed. So what happens here? I lure the Drake, and then we'll find out what he does in a second. So he does actually shoot in response to that. He doesn't let me resolve all my lures, so that's good for me because it means I don't have to lure the Angel now. Because if he blocks, I think I'm actually about to do it, and then I realise. Yeah, so because it means if he blocks my Cisbearer, that's actually really good for me because I keep my Angler. So he takes 2 poison either way, and I actually keep an Angler with a Lifestaff on it. He shrinks his Angel, and I keep the Angler, so I'll have a 2/5 versus his 2/2 Angel, which is great. But he just blocks the Angler, that goes to 2/2, and I put him onto more poison. So I think the way he played that was actually pretty good for me, because if he'd just let me resolve the lures, I would have lured both his guys. Although, having said that, I don't actually think it makes a whole lot of difference. Like, he should have given me the chance to mess up. Like, I think I was considering not luring both guys, I think. I can't actually remember because I now did this a couple of hours ago. But, I mean, I was always going to lure the Looming Good Drake, and then he should have at least let me think about luring the Indomitable Archangel, because I clearly did. As you saw in the video, I kind of went to do it and then didn't. But the fact that he just straight away shot means his Looming Good Drake is now locked down for a turn. I also get a chance to play a 3-drop, which it's fairly obvious I have, just because I'm not playing lands. Like, I'm going to have 3 and 4 drops in my hand. But he re-equips, which makes sense. And then pretty sure he passes. So yeah, like I said, because of the Shroud, he can't actually equip onto the Mirror. But oh no, he drew a Snap Sail Glider. So he re-equips, makes a Snap Sail Glider. So at this point, obviously, because of the Icarats, I just wanted to get 2 more poison counters, and handily all my guys are actually 2 power. So the fact that I drew Black Cleave Goblin is actually pretty relevant, because it means like I can ambush at some point, and that will be all the damage I need to get in. But because I've got a spare mana with Life Staff, and he's almost definitely going to trade with Contagion in pre-combat, I can equip this before making any decisions and see if he does kill it with Arbalest. And then if he does, that's pretty good with me, and he actually does, so that obviously changes my decisions quite heavily, because I can now make Black Cleave Goblin. Like, I was actually going to pass a turn and Carrion Call in his end step, and then I can kind of double ambush him with Carrion Call into Black Cleave Goblin, because he obviously wouldn't expect that, and he's likely to take 2 poison off that. But the fact that he shot in response to the equip when the 3 life was fairly irrelevant means I can now make this and know he can't actually kill both my guys. Because if he blocks Copper Mirror on Bearer and Glider on Black Cleave Goblin, he loses a Mirror and the Glider, and I only lose Goblin. And if he blocks the other way around, it's exactly the same result. So if he double blocks Bearer trying to kill that, he takes out Black Cleave and I just kill him next turn. So the fact that he used the Arbalest too early again means that it just gives me the option to completely change how it's going to play. Because obviously I wouldn't have done that. I don't think I would have made the Black Cleave Goblin, because otherwise I attack, he can block with Archangel and shoot something, so he kind of gets 2 kills out of it. But yeah, so like I said, he can't actually profitably block and kill both my guys, which means he actually does take the poison, and my Icarats now just one-shot KOs him. So he cycles his Spell Bomb, which suggests he hasn't drawn something particularly relevant this turn. Although it does mean he can now equip his Arbalest onto Snap Sail Glider. He also then makes... no, he doesn't make anything, sorry, he equips the Arbalest, which means he has 1 card in hand and blue blank up, which is pretty bad considering I resolve a spell to win. So at this point I kind of start discussing what I can do to play around Stoic Rebuttal, and whether I can set up stuff for the long run. But I decided that, like, the chance of him having drawn Stoic Rebuttal is just so low that it's worth me going for it, and if he counters it, I've still got game anyway. Like, it's not even that bad for me if he counters it, because I still got good stuff in my hand. So I play the rat, and it resolves, and I win the game. And my next draws are pretty good too, as you can see. So yeah, on to sideboarding. There's actually not a whole lot. I think about Wing Puncture, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, Carrion Call, I think I decided was a little too slow, just because I have so many 4-drops in my deck. I don't like, the worst one is Carrion Call. So I figured, because I saw a lot of flyers, like I saw 3 or 4 flyers, it's probably better to have a bit of removal, like a bit of reach over the Carrion Call. Especially because, having seen the Black Cleave Goblin, he's more likely to be kind of playing reserved and not getting ambushed. So I'm on the draw this game, and this hand's absolutely fine. Like, obviously it needs a couple of lands to get there, but... oh, that's another thing I was going to mention. A couple of times, because I'm playing 17 lands and with quite a high curve, if I know I'm going to be on the play, I'm probably boarding into an 18th land and taking out one of the 4-drops. But if I'm on the draw, I just keep it as it is, because I figure on the draw you're more likely to curve out well, because you get that extra card. So I never actually discuss bringing in the 18th land unless I lose the first game, which hasn't happened in the 2 rounds so far. Like, I actually haven't lost a game in the first 2 rounds so far, so I haven't actually had the chance to bring in the 18th land. But as you can see, I have drawn the 3rd land by turn 3, which is... it's not really a how lucky, because I had 3 draw steps to do it. But if I make the Life Staff pre-combat, he's obviously going to block, which I don't particularly want. Like, he's obviously mana screwed, but he's got 3 mana anyway, and if he draws a land, he's got 4, so I'd rather get in the poison for sure, and then equip the life stuff post-combat. Especially because the Mamba is the actual only creature I have at the moment. So if he makes a flyer, I'll actually have nothing for my wing puncture. And he makes boosting attention. He does actually make a flyer, but it's not one I want to kill really. So yeah, I'll untap and draw Aggressive Darkness. Like, I thought about wing puncturing end of turn there just to shrink the Darkstick Drake so that I'd have mana up, but I figured it wasn't really worth it. He blocks here, which makes sense, obviously. But like, I'm fine to shrink his Drake, just basically get the power off it, because I'm only going to take 2 on the swing back, and that's if he attacks with me, which is unlikely because he needs some mana, obviously. So yeah, the Mamba was just on shrink duty there. He makes another Mir. So my Contagion Engine is looking pretty good at this point, but that's assuming I draw 3 lands before it's too late. He makes Trinket Mage and finds his Spell Bomb, not his Mem Knight. So he's obviously digging for something. Because I think this is one of the few occasions where having a 1/1 is actually more relevant than giving a creature flying and drawing a card, just because it looks like he's going to overpower me somehow. I decide not to attack here. If I attack, he just blocks the Darkstick Drake, draws a card, and then untaps and deals me something like 5 damage with creatures. So I figure it's actually much better to just not give him the free card. Like, this way I can tap anything he does make. He is less likely to attack, I think, because I think he'd rather, now he's seen that I'm not really being aggressive, I think he'd rather develop his board. So if he is gonna attack with anything, it's probably just a Trinket Mage and a couple of Mir, or he actually attacks with nothing. But I mean, the main point of not attacking was that if I attacked, he would just draw a card and take no damage, and I don't particularly want to give him the card when the fact he got Spell Bomb suggests he's digging for something. There's Golem Artisan, which is quite a nice card. I also didn't use Tumble Magnet, so I'm not going to use it to just save 2 damage. It's not worth it for me. But I'm still not drawing land, but the Mamba now can stay on complete defense duty. Like, he now can't attack with any of his ground creatures. But having just said that, I decided to attack. I can't remember entirely the reason why. Oh, I think it's something to do with he's more likely to go aggressive with Golem Artisan this way. Like, I think maybe I just wanted to develop my board. Like, I decided that because as soon as I think the only way I was winning this game was by drawing swamps, and if I draw swamps, then I can actually go aggressive because I can kill his Golem Artisan with Grasp of Darkness. Tumble Magnet stops him killing me, and like my 2/1s can start attacking. So, like, I think that attack, in hindsight, that attack was actually bad, but my thinking was something about turning the aggression on because I wasn't winning if I didn't. Like, I basically just wanted to make the Black Cleave, and if I'm making the Black Cleave, I'm not regenerating Blight Member, so I might as well attack with it. That was basically the thinking behind it, but in hindsight, it might have been bad. But then again, I mean, if I'm just passing, then like, I'm not contributing to the board. I'm glad to block here, because looking at my hand, if I do draw the lands, I'm in pretty good shape. So, like, my Black Cleave is not dealing him damage because of the wall of Mir he has. So, I think I'm actually babbling on a bit here, but like I said, I played this a while ago. I have now thought about it and realised that the reason I did attack with Mamba was that I wanted to get the Black Cleave, because I figured trading with Trinket Mage would be a lot better, a much better way of kind of making my mana efficient than just blocking the Blight Member every turn, because then that's giving him a chance to develop the board and not me. So yeah, it just frees up mana. It's kind of like spending a turn to kill a Trinket Mage rather than spending 2 mana every turn for the next X turns or whatever. But I do draw the Swamp, which is nice. I can now Grasp of Darkness the Golem Artisan, and I now have the Blight Member that blocks any of his guys because he can't give them flying anymore. So the game just turned a lot better for me because I drew the swamp. His follow-up play, however, is Skyle School, which is also quite good for him. I mean, it's nothing a Tumble Magnet can't hold, but Tumble Magnet can't go for any more than 2 turns, which is one of the reasons I don't like it. Everyone says it's an icy manipulator, well, it's not really. If it was an icy manipulator, I'd be tapping his guys every turn. But it's not, so I can only do it 3 times. It's fine with Contagion Engine, but then Contagion Engine's winning by itself anyway. I do this end of turn because, again, I don't know if I'll be drawing the mana, and if I do, I'll probably play Contagion Engine. So, I'd rather just get rid of the Skyle School and kill all his guys. Because the only way I'm winning this, the only way I'm losing at this point, I figure, is if, what am I going to say? Yeah, if he somehow races me in the air. So, I figured using my Wing Puncture there was the best way to get rid of the Skyle School. Because at that point it's only doing me 1 damage and I'm not too bothered anymore. Because I might draw something I want to use all my mana for that turn, at which point I wish I'd used the Wing Puncture earlier and not taken 3 damage. I'll also equip Life Staff because obviously the Blight Member's not likely to be dying, so I'm not likely to get the 3 life bonus of it. I do draw the 6th land at this point, but the fact that he's stopped attacking me means I don't actually need to play the Contagion Engine. It might be better to just try and get more value out of it. So I just run with the Icarats. I'm actually under no pressure at the moment, so I don't need to kill any of his guys. The proliferating poison would be nice, but if I just kill his mirror and his Skyle School, he can always untap, make a couple more artifacts. He might actually have read me for some kind of wrath effect, so it's not really worth it. He also, he has the Darksteel Sentinel, which I think I'm mentioned at some point to myself. Obviously I wasn't recording audio when I was doing it, but I do sometimes talk to myself. But I'm not really bothered about Darksteel Sentinel because I have both Tumble Magnet and Blight Member. So yeah, I think that was one reason. If I made Contagion Engine there, he'd just float mana and make Sentinel, and then he'd still have a Rusted Relic and a Sentinel, because assuming he goes untap Artifact, it's still not looking that good for me, so I'd rather just get more value out of my Contagion Engine. He makes the Archangel, which means I have to tap the Rusted Relic straight away or I'll be taking a lot of damage. If he attacks with that Sentinel, Skyle School, I don't really want to block with too much. So I'd rather just get a counter off my Magnet now. He makes even more guys, which is obviously even better for me, because I have the Contagion Engine in hand. I mean, the bouncing the Plague Stinger just means he gets him with Sky and School for a turn. So yeah, I'll take that. He's actually drawn pretty well this game. He's got 6 lands and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 spells, 14 assuming the card in his hand's a spell, but we've also drawn pretty well, so it's not something to be complaining about. At this point, I obviously have to lay out the Contagion Engine, which kills 3 of his guys and shrinks 3 and deactivates 1, so that's all in all a pretty good Contagion Engine. I think he has the follow-up artifact to turn Metalcraft back on. Oh no, it's even better than the follow-up artifact, yeah, I remember now. It's follow-up artifact plus, you can see the mouse cursor kind of started moving towards Contagion Engine there, because I figured he might be stealing it. He's thinking about it for a while though, but when he starts tapping all his mana like that and hasn't cast the spell completely, it's going to cost 6. And yeah, it's the Volition Reins. Annoyingly, I also poisoned myself with Icarats, so the Volition Reins is very relevant at the moment because it might actually just kill me with my own infect. But it's still not the end of the world. He's still only attacking me with a couple of flyers, and I'm getting back in for 2 with Blight Member. So the race is actually fairly even at this point, and I have Untamed Might. So even though he steals my bomb that's going to kill him in a couple of turns while killing his entire board, it's actually still not that bad for me. He gets in with Sentinel, which I think is a mistake on his part. Like, I was actually kind of hoping he would attack. He should have just attacked with the flyers. If it was me, I would have just attacked with the flyers. But the fact that he attacks with that means, or not even the flyers, just the angel, it means I can now trade and turn off Metalcraft. So I basically just killed a 2-2 and a 4-4 by just sacrificing my Karats there. So yeah, my options here, I mean, I can equip an attack, but then I was going to instant infection there, but then I decided to actually think about my turn. If I equip, which I don't do, I also going to do that. I seem to have a habit of clicking things and then thinking about them. But if I equip an attack, it means I can't then play Plague Stinger and Trigon, so I'd rather just attack and see what he does. Like, I don't think the 1 and 2 poison are that relevant. And it actually turns out really well for me, because he does block the Blight Member. Like, he's probably scared of Untamed Might or something, but it wouldn't actually kill him there, so I don't really like this play. Because if he's scared of it now, he obviously has to be scared of it next turn as well. So yeah, after quite a lot of thinking, I'm pretty sure he blocks. I think, if my memory serves me correct, he does definitely block. And he goes to blockers, and yeah, he does block, which means it makes my play of not equipping better, because I now get to think about the rest of my turn. But I decide that, after all that, I decide that making Trigon would actually be the wrong play anyway, because I'd rather just get kind of flying creatures on the board, because this stops his Archangel from attacking. Because I might actually lose the damage race at this point, because I'm not actually poisoning him for that much, especially if I make the Trigon. I'm only hitting him back for 1. He might be able to start making blockers, or kind of being able to deal with my Trigon plus Untamed Might. So by making the Plague Stinger, it just stops him attacking. So yeah, I draw the Swamp. I can now move, because I drew the Swamp, I can now move the Silver Lifestaff over and bash him with Regenerator. Like, he can either shrink his Angel, which means I can then instant infection it for the kill, or just take 2 poison. He ends up taking 2 poison. And obviously he doesn't know I have instant infection, but I think I would have blocked there if I were him. Like, the way he's playing, he's obviously being quite reserved. Like, the way he blocked my 1-1 with his Drake, he's obviously playing quite reserved, so I actually would have blocked the Angel with I would have blocked the Mamba with Angel, because it still trades with Plague Stinger after that. But yeah, he double poisons me, and I pass. I've got the Trigon online now, so my Untamed Might seems quite likely to make contact at this point. It's also worth noting, I think I could have, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh no, I actually couldn't. I was going to say I could have Untamed Might for the kill, but I couldn't, so I probably did work that out. But I was going to say, even if I could have done, I wouldn't have done, because the fact he's passed with a lot of mana probably means he's going to Contagion Engine, which he did, but it also could mean he's got Dispense Justice or Disperse or something, so it's not worth just throwing 2 cards away for no reason, or 1 card and some tempo. He makes Soliton, which reactivates Rusted Relic, but thankfully he doesn't have the Heavy Arbalest out, otherwise I would be in a lot of trouble. So yeah, I just end of turn make an insect. I can just start building my team up now. My way of winning at this point is basically just get through with a guy and then Untamed Might it, but in the meantime I can actually just attack with Blight Mamba every turn, because he has no profitable blocks. Like, every time he blocks, he's just shrinking his guy, and he can't not block because he's obviously gets scared of Untamed Might the way he's playing. So yeah, he just blocks and I regenerate. His guy shrinks. Blocks with Soliton as well, so that makes it less likely that he's kind of thinking of drawing Arbalest. I mean, he does have Arbalest in his deck because he played it in the first game, but it means he doesn't have it in his hand, but obviously we knew that anyway. Goes without saying, really. I also equip Lifestaff because he might somehow go aggressive with what he draws, so I put it on the guy I'm most likely to jump block with. I have an odd number of mana, so I can still re-equip to Mamba, regenerate, and make a guy or instant infection in the same turn, so So yeah, end of turn, make a guy. At this point, I will be getting through with one guy, but it's still not worth going for the Untamed Might because he's 4 turns off killing me with Contagion Engine, and if he does have a Disperse or a Dispense Justice, especially with Metalcraft, like, it's just not worth going for Untamed Might. It's better to just keep shrinking his guys and keep making my own Infect guys. He blocks with the other one this time. Especially because the more his guys shrink, the more likely my insects are to not die when he does end up blocking. Like, he might end up with a 0-1 Soliton or a 1-1 Archangel, so I can trade with it. Especially with Life Staff, like a 2-1 insect with Life Staff might end up trading with a Rusted Relic, considering I have Instill Infection in my hand even without Life Staff. So he just poisons me at the end of turn. He's also started drawing lands, which is fairly good for me. But it's not like he got mana flooded or anything. He's got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 spells at the moment to his 8 land. 17 if you assume the 2 cards in his hand are spells. But I mean, I suppose it's likely that one of them is a land, because if it was a spell he would have played it by now. So yeah, there is a land that he was probably holding on to. I'm not entirely sure why I did this, but I figured it was good to just draw a card at the end of his turn. I guess because I was going to be using all my mana for Untamed Might next turn, so if I drew a card in the next 2 cards that made me want to change my mind, like something that gave me more late game, like Genesis Wave or something, then it'd be better to play that than to go all in on the one creature. But I didn't draw Genesis Wave, so at this point I'm fairly safe to just smash with everything, I think. Like, even if it turns out badly and he has the Dispense Justice, well, if he has Dispense Justice it doesn't make a difference because I just sack the guys he blocked. And if he has Disperse, like, he still shrinks a lot of his guys. The one thing I should have actually done is move the Silver Life Staff onto Plague Stinger. Like, I didn't even think about it, which is obviously terrible on my part. But yeah, I definitely should have put Life Staff on Plague Stinger, because that way, when he blocks, which he's definitely doing, he loses his Archangel and doesn't keep a 1-1. But like this way, if I Untamed Might and he has the answer, he still shrinks all his guys and takes 2 damage off the Mamba, so yeah, I'll just Untamed Might this, and he concedes. See you for the next round.